Well, I know you guys missed me because I had a quick hiatus. Well, kind of quick, but it felt like it could be long enough because vacations are absolutely fun. But I'm back. I'm here with a very special episode tonight. Will be jumping in momentarily. He has to take care of home duties, but he'll jump in. But again, this is a special episode of the Big O Belt podcast. Thank you for everyone who's been like looking to make sure was I okay because the little hiatus. I mean, like, can't take 2 weeks out, I guess, right? But next time, make sure I submit my leave slip to all you supervisors out there. But tonight I do have a special guest, and I really appreciate her taking the time to do this today. This is definitely gonna be a fun episode. Welcome to the show tonight, Zoey Skye. How you doing today?
Great, man. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Very, very, very good. First thing I want to say is, you are the Heart of Shimmer champion, and is there something about the prestige of carrying that championship, because it's just like all three of you all are like literally the nicest people in the world. So I don't know if the requirements is to actually beat the other person or just to see who could be nicer than the other person, because that seems what it is. Sasha McKenzie's one of my favorite people in the world. So and just from the interactions with you and stuff, you're absolutely very, very nice. Look forward to still keeping a continued eye on your career and everything. But again, thank you so much for joining the show tonight.
No, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. But definitely, I don't know if you'll feel the same way once you go back and actually watch that match. I mean, I've had the best intentions, but I definitely take it. You know, I always try to do my best to be nice to everybody, but maybe not the nicest to Shaza in that match. So,
Yeah, she had a busy weekend that week too. So
very good.
the icing on the cake is for you to come in and lay down a beating like that. I mean, hey, but nonetheless, so anyway, let's get into it for tonight. So first off, I definitely want to start off by let's get in the fans a little bit updated with you. The biggest thing I think we should touch on right now is, now I know personally myself, and I just want to know if there's anything I'm missing here. The transition between the monikers between Dust and Zoey Skye. Now it is out there. How did it come about? But what did it actually mean to you when that transition happened?
Man, so the full transition was really at the start. Is the first 10 years of my career was Angel Dust, not
Right.
just Dust. So I got kind of a well-known name, and it just kind of stuck, and it happened, and that's the best way I can explain it to people. It just happened.
Okay.
Um, Dust, branched off from Angel Dust amongst the name change, and stuck with Rise and Shimmer, as I started teaming with Rosemary
Hmm.
there, and started forming that alliance with her. But obviously, that name wasn't intended to stick around. I was gonna keep use. I was just gonna switch to Zoey Skye and use it everywhere. And so like there is definitely like a difference between Zoey Skye and Dust. Dust is the that darker character, is just a completely different person than what Zoey Skye would be. Whether it be face or heel, really.
Okay.
Uh, but it's just one of those transitions. Just kind of it kind of happened in the midst of the name change. So I just kind of I take it and use it where I need it, and put it into my own spin as to what I want, the actual Zoey Skye to be.
I see. So more or less an evolution. I've like you say, Andrew Dust was just something that kind of just got dropped on your lap. We obviously know of the demonic turn, sort of say, when you just became Dust, but Zoey Skye is who you are. A 10-year
Yes.
revelation, sort of say.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
and with that being said, you're molding into who you want it to be. Where do you see yourself as far as with this moniker going forward in the future?
I mean, it's definitely, while it's a name change, and while it's a bit of a moniker and a bit of a gimmick change as a whole, there's been a slow transition in what I initially wanted the name change and the character change to be. But overall, it's me. It's who I
Yeah.
am. I don't change who I am in front of fans and stuff. It's just easy to be me. And
Yeah.
I guess in a way, I am a very down to earth person. I just prefer to keep to myself. Like I said earlier, I'm a little bit shy. I'm a little bit quiet. I like to keep to
Yeah.
myself, but when it comes to being in the business for 10, 11 years now,
Mhm.
and seeing these people and these fans, especially kids, I'm able to go ahead and just let myself be out there and introduce myself and just be who I am. And that's a lot of what this character is. So
Yeah.
it was definitely just more or less just a needed name change and just a little bit of a change to really allow myself to be seen as more of a character or more of a person in the wrestling business, not just to fans.
Right on. I think too, and although I'm just a fan, looking into the business, I think that a lot of success comes from the individuals, tag teams, and stables who are definitely bound by them taking on who they really are in real life. And I think like obviously one of the biggest figures in that notion is the New Day. The three of those guys they had individual success, but the fact that they are who they are day in and day out, you just see like how genuine and organic the chemistry is. So I think that's and for you too, I think that's literally a huge milestone that you definitely, not only just for 10 years, but definitely a part of you that says like, this is everything I've mounted up to be all this time. So plenty of success towards you for that.
Thank you. And I agree. Like it's those guys, it's not like they weren't making a name for themselves, not doing stuff, but since they were able to be more of themselves, not only are they having more fun and being able to put more of an effort into things, the fans and the people watching, at home can get behind these guys
Yep.
because they see they're having fun. So I
Yep.
completely agree. And that's the same for me. I like to let people see that I'm having fun so that they have fun
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. So getting into wrestling now, yeah, you have stated that your mom, and I really thought this was a really nice story too. Your mom obviously was a wrestling fan, and you found yourself sneaking into the room to watch wrestling. Like, hey, what you doing? And I wish Wills were here for a second because it's kind of cute because his daughter sneaks into the room where we're doing shows and stuff. Like, what you doing? And just to hear that story keep repeating over and over and to build success off of it is absolutely a good thing. But yeah, your mom not only was the person that put this idea in your head, but she also was the person that found your first wrestling school.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so
So she didn't necessarily, she herself obviously didn't hate me watching wrestling, my brother and I watching wrestling. It was my dad who didn't care for us watching wrestling. It was back in the Attitude Era. So it was, it was okay. Well, mom would let us sneak downstairs and watch, but hey, dad's going to be home, by this time. So make sure you're in bed before he gets home. So, and my mom was definitely the one that instigated it all along. But yeah, she's always, I mean, I just saw her today. She always is behind what any of her kids, but anything that I do, she's always been there for it. And wrestling, literally, she's been there since day one.
that is awesome right there. What do you think was your dad vendetta against the Attitude Era? I mean, was it you?
Oh, I know exactly what it was. I know
Oh,
exactly what it was. My dad, one day, I want to say my brother and I were down watching, maybe when he came home from work or whatever the case may be. I don't know that it was one or the other or both just happened to be like on the same segment or like one right behind the other. But the two main reasons, Val Venus and Goldust, those two were the main reasons why he didn't want us watching wrestling. I don't know how much he understood that was going on, but it was just the fact that Attitude Era, those two guys, that's the reason my dad didn't want us watching wrestling.
I have to say that as much as I enjoyed Val Venus' character, that was definitely one of those ones where you want to like talk loud or like direct attention away from the TV when your parents is around because
Yeah,
his
yeah.
segments they're so good when you think about them now, but man, that would never float
Yeah, yeah.
nowadays.
It was definitely something else. It was literally after that, it was no more watching wrestling. So that's why we snuck down and watched wrestling
Yeah.
after that every Monday night.
Now, do you ever go back to your dad now and say, "Dad, look how cool Goldust is"? I mean, he's obviously a very pivotal figure in society. He's a stand-up guy. Like, look, look at the person that you
Right.
did.
Yeah. If he saw Goldust now, I'm sure it would be in a different light, especially the time between the Attitude Era and now. He actually, my dad passed away in a car accident a few years ago, but since I started wrestling and doing shows, um, all his concern was just me not getting hurt.
Yeah,
I guess not watching that anymore kind of helped, but he kind of quietly, just kind of let it, let it be okay. And
Yeah,
I actually got him to come to a couple of shows and stuff. So
that's
like that in
awesome.
itself, I definitely, I felt like we got like past that. So it was definitely, he may not have been super happy that I was doing it, but he was
Yeah.
glad that I was happy. And just as long as I wasn't hurt, he was okay.
That's awesome. And on that note, too, I'm sure he's watching down on you and keeping a very protective shield over you because, as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe you've sustained any major injury since you've been wrestling.
No, no, it's knocked
See,
on wood, literally.
yeah,
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And
that's
thank
a
you. I appreciate
that's a
that.
higher power for sure, right there. Um,
Yes.
so so I do know that you also said in the past that you wish you had, and this might be a complex question. You said you did wish that you did branch out a little bit more initially, and we will talk about the initial school that your mom found. But in a sense of you wishing you had branched out more, vice versa, of you being the person you are, maybe kind of an inner shell that maybe prevented you from wanting to branch out more, kind of, content and happy you found something, but also very like, you know, I don't want to go further than this at this point. Let's talk about those emotions right there. The initial emotions of your mom finding the school till it's happening to you, all of that.
I completely agree with that. So my mom found the promotion. They ran on TV on like a Saturday night or some weird time at night. And I like I said, I stayed up one night, and watched the whole thing. And then I saw like the website and so forth, and MySpace and whatever else was going on at the time. So I reached out and I started, got in contact, took a minute, and finally got a tryout, checked out some shows. And I stuck around. And by no means, for anybody who doesn't know, training at Cleveland All Pro Wrestling at the time that I did, uh, I do wish I would have known about it sooner because I would have had a much more of a hand at being trained by JT. They both JT Lightning and Johnny Gargano are both fantastic trainers. By no means, by me saying I want to branch out is me saying anything negative about my
No, no, no,
training.
no, no.
Um,
It's a networking thing, obviously. Anyone who's
yep.
absolutely think that, I mean, look at the two people she's naming. This is for anyone who's just not above understanding that statement. To branch out means to network, to understand the business better, to see all angles. That's all that means.
Exactly. And back in that time, especially after I did start traveling around and meeting more people, it was there was a lot of issues, I guess, and just a lot of tiptoeing around promotions and people in the Cleveland area back then when I started
Yeah,
training. That it was kind of it was intimidating. You
yeah,
didn't know who to talk to, and you didn't want to make anybody mad, and
yeah,
you just I didn't know. Knowing how things have transformed between then and now, I completely recommend to people anytime I see anybody, no matter how long they've been in the business, if you have an opportunity to go somewhere and train, go do
train.
it. Even if it's
Yeah,
just for a week or a day, if you're traveling out of town and you happen to be in an area where you can jump in on a training session 1 or 2 days in the week before you hit a couple of shows on the weekend, do it. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's not going
yeah,
to hurt
yeah,
you.
yeah.
I do wish that I would have. I went up to the Mega Championship Wrestling School up in Elyria, Ohio, quite often. My current fiance, Sean Blaze, was already wrestling, but still would go to training weekly and so forth. And I would go with him and a lot of the other guys regularly to training. A guy by the name of Chris Cole, who was a pretty decent name. You
Hmm.
know the name.
Hmm.
He was running the school then.
Okay.
And I was just so intimidated. I would sit and I would listen to everything he told whoever he was training at the time and whoever was in the ring. And he constantly was, "You want to get in here and work out with these guys, you're welcome to." And I was just always so I was like, "No, no, it's okay. I'll just sit and watch." And I wish I had gotten in that ring and trained with him because
Yeah.
just how much more I could have just gotten on top of that would have been fantastic. But yeah, like I said, for me, I wish I had done it. In saying that, by no means is that anything saying negative
Yeah.
about Johnny or JT.
Oh,
But I do wish that anybody who has that drive now takes that opportunity when they have it.
yeah. I mean, let's talk about this for a quick second. Now, JT Lightning train, and you're within some of the hardest hitting company of wrestlers out there right now. So JT Lightning obviously is notably trained Matt Cross or Son of Havoc and Johnny Gargano, and then Johnny Gargano, who if you can tell me in a second the transition between the two trainers here. Johnny Gargano trained PB Smooth, Dominic Carini, Gregory Iron, and you're within this company of like some of the biggest, tallest, but not tallest, but some of the hardest hitting people. PB is definitely really tall in there. So like that says a lot about you as it is right there. But yeah, what was the transition between the two, or was there any really dynamics between their styling training?
I mean, JT definitely had the aggression behind him. He was very, I definitely was intimidated by him anytime I saw him. As I started training, so I met him, it was mid November, maybe end of October, November, something like that. I met him in 2006, and even just meeting him after one of his events, just to get his card and talk to him about training, was one of the scariest moments ever. I didn't know who he was. He looked like he was like just he I could tell he had a ton going on. He was in the middle of paying the guys and getting the ring tore down. He had his trainees doing stuff and all the guys doing stuff. The last thing he needed was this little 5 foot, tall girl wandering around asking him about wrestling and training and so forth. He probably had no idea. If it wasn't for the fact that I was wearing my military uniform, he probably would have thought that I was like a child and had no idea what I was doing there.
Yeah.
But I definitely, I mean, obviously you can see, I guess I could see that training between him and what he taught, Johnny, for Johnny to go ahead and teach on to other students. When I started, it was me. I think Greg was a year or so in before me. Matt Justice was probably a year or two, started before me. So these guys were also helping me when it came to training as well. And there were a handful of guys, Ben Boone, a couple of guys that wrestled for a few years and haven't wrestled since. But I mean, they just the list of guys. And then, of course, transitioning to when Johnny took over at AIW and started training, just the transition of guys, you can tell that Johnny has the heart not only for himself to succeed, but to help others.
Yeah.
And no matter what level it was when he was 18, 19 years old, training little me to being in his mid 20s, training these AIW kids, like he definitely was somebody that I was very happy to have as a trainer.
Yeah, I don't doubt it one bit. I mean, this guy frequently tweets. If you see him, come talk to him. Don't be afraid. And that's a lot considering the stardom that's behind that guy. So absolutely believe when it comes down to his heart and passion for the business and his fans, and definitely the people who wants to train. I mean, that's got to be some of the best bang for your buck ever, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Will, welcome to the show, man.
Yes, indeed. I had a little action to take care of there, but I am back after a good few weeks off here on the Big Gold Belt.
Good times, good times. So we covered a little bit of background, a little bit talking about the training and stuff, the mom influence. Right now, I do want to say that you did mention about joining the military. Where in the timeline does this fit? And obviously, one of everyone's favorite question is what branch?
So I was actually here we are at the end of September filming this. September 11th, 2001 is this I literally have never really told anybody was really along like the biggest deciding factor. I was always interested in the military, always had, just intrigued with it, and just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life and so forth. And sitting in history class and having that on the TV, I knew that at some point that it would become much more than just seeing it on TV. It would become something more, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do career wise and otherwise. But I knew the military was definitely big on my heart then. So I actually changed high schools. The high school that I had gone to for the majority of my teenage years, and then of course just as I was about to graduate, I ended up switching schools between my junior and senior year. So literally halfway through my junior year, I switched schools. I was at a school where I was very athletic. I was the season before, like I was on the state cross country, team for the girls. My cross country coach begged for me to come, to keep coming to the school so I could run my senior year there. Athletics for me were like a big thing. And when I moved to this other school, athletics for them, while they were big for the school, the teams weren't the greatest.
Yeah.
The cross country, nobody had the heart and desire to run, and to be a good, at least not the senior class that I came in. The class before me had a great team and great runners, but like a lot of the runners were just wanted to run to stay in shape and so forth.
Yeah,
But good for them. But I came from a school where the boys at that point had like I think 13 years or 15 years straight of going to state. So it was a big running school. So in that transition of going from one school to another, I lost a lot of interest in what I was doing. And I just decided that once I hit 17, I talked to my recruiter and so forth. Once I hit 17, I was allowed to enlist as long as I was between my junior and senior year in high school, and of course I had my parents sign. And I knew I'd be back to come back and run. I'd be able to come back and do sports, finish my senior year, and I just felt like it would have been a good time. So it was actually April 20th, 2005. I went to MEPS and I was sworn in the United States Army Reserve. I don't remember. I mean, I remember that day was like the scariest day of my life. I didn't know what I was doing. It was literally like that. I had no idea what was going. Until of course the summer when I went to training.
Literally life changing.
Literally, yes, absolutely. Getting up at super early in the morning to have people tell me to sit in this chair and to do this physical form and do all this, and then to go and get yelled at on a daily basis, like I wanted that in my life. So yeah, in summer 2005, I went down to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, did my boot camp, my basic training, and then after I graduated from high school, so summer 2006 is when I went through my job training and got my MOS, and actually was, through training and in the military.
Yeah.
It was, I was home in, I want to say, end of August, maybe very early September. And then 2 months later, I found wrestling and started training and so forth. I definitely enjoy the military and I love the training aspect. And I love, basic training to me, I could have done that every day from there until now and been okay and been happy. Not many people could have. Lots of people quit. Lots of people hated it, but I definitely enjoyed it. But for me, I definitely could see. I trained in finance. Once I got to my unit, I didn't do anything when it came to finance. I sat at a desk, 1 weekend a month and shredded papers and so forth. It sounds terrible, but it's just the unit that I went to didn't have a finance section, so I was stuck just doing other stuff. So I just lost a lot of interest in it because of that.
Yeah.
And then of course I found wrestling between wrestling and sports in general, it definitely took a big hold for me and I had to do it.
Yeah. I definitely remember those 3.1s in cross country.
Yeah.
And definitely
I can't do them now.
I know, right? And definitely thank you for your time in the service.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Well, so if you relished basic, that must have been a huge confidence booster going into a wrestling training, that you were already tearing that up and not dreading it every morning when they were getting you out of bed.
I guess I was used to that. I was so intimidated. I'm just a very quiet, shy person. Meeting JT, I was like, I don't know what to expect. And I literally felt that. I was like, I went through basic training. Like, what could I possibly have to deal with? I literally almost puked the first day of training. It was a lot more difficult than I expected, but it definitely helped me maintain the thought process of staying in shape and physical shape and between then and now. So it's definitely helped me a lot.
Having never done it myself, but just having talked to people who've been through wrestling training, the biggest thing I always end up hearing is that there's nothing that will ever prepare you for taking bumps on a regular basis and building up that callus to getting used to taking bumps. And it's just something everyone has to go through, but there's nothing you can do to prepare for it. It's just a completely unique experience unto itself.
Right. No, I completely agree. I literally had no idea what I was getting into. And I don't even, I mean, it's been so long now. I don't even know how it was explained to me, the situation of, hey, listen, you're just gonna come in here and just fall. You just we're gonna figure it out. It's just one of those things we're like, oh, okay. And the first one, I'm just like, no, this was like, why did I say yes? And what am I thinking? It's just, and you're right. Like I said, I mean, obviously, it's not one of those things you want to wish on somebody who's never done it before. Hey guys, like you should definitely go. No, don't. You would think it wouldn't be so bad. Here we are, 2018. But no matter what ring you're in, no matter where it's at, it's still the first time and the last time. Every time sucks.
So you've been really busy. That's what I can say. You really had your foot on the gas as far as your life since seeing such a very I can't even think of the word, but 9/11, almost the same story for me. I remember I was sitting in class too, and I was just like, what is happening? And for you to take the courage to definitely know that was the light bulb going off to join the service all the way moving forward to 2018, having about 10 to 11 years under your belt. What in the world? Because you have not mentioned yet, where is your downtime? What do you do for fun? What do you eat? And Will obviously runs a very, very successful YouTube channel, The Snack Society. He is your food and snack expert, so I know he's very curious here. But yeah, what do you eat? What do you do in your spare time? I mean, obviously, I saw your cat in the background too. I mean,
yeah, she disappeared. She's on the floor now.
Oh, okay. I mean, we welcome animals on the show as well too. We have questions for pets too.
She's definitely trying to sleep. I think she's tired of me moving. She wants to sleep. Man, see, here's my spare time. Here it is. We're talking. So I've been lucky, and I've always worked a job outside of wrestling. And since I've come home from Japan about a month and a half ago now, I just decided I hated work and I didn't want to do it anymore. So I'm not sure if that's a good idea, but I'm not working. So I now have a decent amount of spare time, and I love it. I definitely have some projects that I want to start from home so I can, have money coming in, still work wrestling, related stuff in on my daily basis and so forth. The training school, not creative, about an hour and a half away. I try to go up there as often as possible, not nearly as much as I would like to. I spend my day with my cat. We hang out. I'm very close to my family as well. I do have one sister in California, as I've mentioned. I have a sister in Indiana, but then I have two brothers, and then of course my mom and my uncle. I have that are around and stuff. I have a 2-year-old nephew that I love, so I spend as much time with my family in general as I can. Food, man, I'm a very picky eater. I'm like the pickiest of eaters. Japan was, I was just telling them last night, that Japan was a terrible trip for me because I'm a very picky eater. I didn't eat much. I do love junk food. I don't think there's anybody in the world who doesn't love junk food. I try to stay away. I try to keep as best as possible, just generally high on protein, lean foods and stuff. I'm more of a chicken and hamburger kind of person when it comes to that. I mean, I guess on my daily basis, really, I don't do anything crazy. If I meal prep, then I'm good. If I don't, then I eat junk. So I mean, just like anybody else, I try to have my goals but usually they fail and I just eat whatever I want, eat out a lot. So I don't do as well as I probably should.
Okay. So if you love the junk food, when you have your opportunity, when you have your cheat, what's your go-to? Given
my
the
cheat's
choice.
Like every day. Every day is a cheat.
Well, what's your favorite cheat then?
My favorite cheat. Oh man. Man, I don't know why this is so hard. I love like Oreos and milk, but I have to be in the mood because I don't care for milk that much.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I love cookies and chips and anything. Usually if I get hungry, it's just open the fridge and go, God, I hope there's some food in here. And I usually just eat whatever, it's just sitting around.
Right.
I have
What's
breaded
available?
peanut butter right now. I haven't gone grocery shopping, so I have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches going on in my house right now.
Well, that's definitely a go-to. Absolutely a go-to.
Always.
Yeah.
Always
Peanut butter
a
is
staple.
probably my favorite thing ever.
I'm with you on that one.
Okay, deal.
What was the last thing you just reviewed, Will?
What was the last? So we were filming stuff yesterday, but that was commercials. Oh God, what were we? See, you're putting me on the spot here. I wasn't even ready for Snack Society action. What was the last thing? You know what I was looking for? There's brand new Oreos, since you just mentioned Oreos, that just came out that are a Disney tie-in for Mickey Mouse's 70th birthday, and apparently they got the birthday cake filling on the chocolate cookie with like a Mickey Mouse logo on them or something. Not exactly the most exciting new Oreo, but those are the brand new ones that apparently just came out, but I haven't found them yet. I'm searching for those.
I've seen pictures. We'll have to keep an eye out for sure.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to come out this week, but I couldn't find them yesterday when I was looking. So the Rocky Road ones they put out just before that were amazing. Those are tremendous. Right. Yes.
I usually go with the original. I don't get too crazy with the flavors and stuff. It scares me away. Like I said, I'm picky. I don't try new things. So I'll take your word. That I won't mind trying.
You can't beat the classics. So I totally understand. They never let you down.
So you've worked, or you are working Rise. You just returned from Stardom, which I will be curious to know about that transition. Impact and Shimmer, you are champion. Obviously, the Heart of Shimmer champion, the Mega Fighting Spirit champion, and you are a champion, the Guardian of Rise championship, champion, half of the championship. So what other promotions are you looking forward to? And also too the Stardom thing, because that's a big move, and you just returned. Can we talk about that phone call or email, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so that actually came through with working with Rise back in December of last year. We were doing an event with Rise, but we were doing it in California. And they were able to bring over some of the Japanese girls, and of course the owner of Stardom, and they were able to work out a relationship where we were going to send a handful of the Rise talent over to Stardom for this little mini tour. Initially, actually, we didn't know anything finalized until I want to say, but maybe March of this year. It was relatively late. It was like I said, when we first heard about it, we had speculation of basically I was told to keep my summer fairly flexible and open because we didn't have select dates. So of course that's always hard. So when I was finally given closer time frames, there was initially only, I believe, 2 or 3 dates. Like it was kind of like one weekend that they would be flying us out. We would be doing, a couple of shows, and then ideally would be coming back home. And in the process of all of this finally coming together, there were 6 of us who were going to be going. And then after those initial 2 shows, we had an email asking if we were available for anywhere up to, I think, it was about 5 weeks, so maybe eight shows, 8 events, I believe. So of course, I kept most of my summer open because it just happened to work out pretty well. Nothing really too big jumped out for me. So I, offered that I could stay a length of time, and therefore they kept me. So I ended up, the beginning of July. I don't know the date on the top of my head, but I left the beginning of July and I came home like the second week of August. So I was able to tour with Stardom in Japan for about 5 weeks or so.
Yeah, it looks like you had a pretty good assortment of opponents here. And a pretty good crew with you, too. Kylie Ray was over there, too. Let's see who else on here. Who else went on this little adventure over there? Britt Baker was over there at the same time?
Yep. Kikyo was there. Initially, it was supposed to be myself, Britt Baker, Kikyo, Kylie, and then Shotzi Blackheart and Delilah Doom. Both Shotzi and Delilah got hurt initially, like I think maybe a week or 2 before we had even gone. So they didn't go out there at all. Britt Baker was only there for maybe I think the first week or so, so like maybe like 2 shows. She wasn't able to stay the whole length of time because of other obligations. And then so that left Kylie Ray, I think, was there for about 2.5 weeks. And then it left myself and Kikyo, who were supposed to stay the full like 5 weeks or so, whatever it ended up, whatever it was supposed to be. But then Kikyo also got hurt while we were there.
What?
Kikyo, yeah. Oh, don't worry, there's plenty more. Kikyo got hurt before the bell of the first show. Like, but we were in the building, everybody was in gear, ready to go, and she was in the ring, just kind of walking around and going, just going through some stuff, and she ended up blowing her knee out. She actually,
Wow.
I believe, just I mean, I don't know what today's date is, but just yesterday or today, had surgery. Yeah. But I definitely like she's definitely a strong-headed person. She'll come back well. It's definitely it sucks for her, but I can tell that she'll come back with just as much drive and determination as she had before. And then of course, actually Kylie Ray
Know about this
had
one.
gotten hurt. Yeah,
Yep.
she got hurt the last show. I believe the last event she was supposed to, maybe the second to last event she was supposed to be on. It was actually myself, her, and Britt Baker tagging.
Yeah.
And she got hurt. So when she came home, she ended up having surgery as well on her shoulder.
Yeah, I saw Britt down in Orlando. I was down there for the Mae Young Classic. She worked some of the dark matches for that. But yeah, we got to give you a nickname. It's not going to click to me now, but I mean, you are anti-injury.
Don't jinx me, man. Don't jinx me. I'm so lucky right now.
I mean, you literally
let's not spotlight that.
I mean, the bug.
No.
She, obviously, I'm just going Zoey the Terminator Skye, because literally that bug.
I like it, but let's not jinx it.
Wow.
Well, speaking of which, that does bring up, though, getting into the whole nickname thing. Let's get into the evolution of the name as we're looking here. So I'm seeing Angel Dust, and now Zoey Skye. So the name has evolved, and especially in recent time here. So what's the thinking behind all of it?
We brought it up a little bit earlier about it, but I do want to just direct that question into another direction. So with the Zoey Skye thing, do you also feel like the opportunities once that name changed, because obviously the Zoey Skye became who you wanted to be? It was the cocoon of Angel Dust to the demonic dust to Zoey Skye, the reflection of self. But again, Stardom is a big move. A lot of people always mirror that the place they want to work is Stardom. There's obviously there's WWE, but everyone always mentions Stardom, and that's you just returning. But do you feel like this is a reflection of self? Obviously, investing in yourself, being the moniker who you wanted to be. Do you think this is absolutely a result of that?
Yeah, I definitely feel that just like I mean, the name change has been the step in the right direction. And like you said, I mean, I couldn't tell you how long back I've heard people consistently, females all the time saying something about Stardom, whether it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 11 years ago. I constantly heard it, and like I said, I'm always the shy, quiet person. My first time away from home was joining the military. I was so nervous. That was the thing I was most nervous about, was being away from home. And now that I've had that time to travel a little bit and be away from home, I wasn't as nervous, and I was glad that that opportunity came to me when it did. I actually ended up spending the last 3 weeks that I was in Japan completely by myself. There were no other foreigners there, at the apartment with me. So it was one of those things where it gave me time to really sit and focus and think about myself and where I wanted to be when I came home and so forth. And I definitely I felt a change in the way that I was looked at and perceived by people, because it is a big deal.
Yeah.
People see that, and just the fact that I was able to go overseas like that, especially people who don't get that opportunity, or younger guys and girls that come in that don't quite know that opportunity is out there for them. It's always seen as as a big deal. But for me, no matter how long it took, I knew it was going to be a big deal, and I was glad that I was able to have that time to really focus. And now that I'm home, I don't, I want to take advantage of the little bit of publicity that I've gotten from it so that I can get myself out there like I wanted to, a couple of years ago, and really get out there on a level that I feel like I could be at.
Yeah.
Very cool. So the other big thing I see going on is Paradise Lost, which is quite the faction between you and Rosemary and Raven's Ash. And I'm loving the t-shirt design, by the way.
Awesome. Yeah, it's I'm so excited for it.
So give us some of the details on what's the plans here for this. This is quite I'm loving the pictures, the whole look of it. So what's the plans here? Is it going to take over Shimmer and Rise is the idea, or?
I mean, that sure is the intent. I mean, I feel like so initially, starting with Rise, I did the first seminar, was able to get put on the first show, won the first ever Phoenix of Rise title. Kind of went in as the bitter, slightly unhappy vet, but like happy to know that I have a chance to put myself out there in a spotlight. And of course, oddly enough, for as long as myself and Rosemary, even prior to Rosemary, have been in this business, we've never crossed paths in any way. I don't even know that I was actually on any events with her, and if I was, it was when I was super young and had no idea who anybody was.
Yeah.
So meeting with her and starting that connection where I joined with her and started tagging. Literally did bring a completely different person out. I was able to see a lot of different things in the ring, outside of the ring, just in wrestling as a whole differently because she had a different look. And, even though I think she's been wrestling maybe a year shorter than I have, she's had the exposure and the experience. And she's been wrestling so many, talented girls that I may not have gotten a chance to when, at the same time she did, that she was able to feed lots of I was able to get under her learning tree and learn so much more. So I mean, and of course, she got hurt, some things came about, so of course now the faction, the three of us, I really feel like it's something different. This was just brought up last night. Somebody had asked about women in stables and so forth, and while you see groups of 3 and 4, you see stables, I really feel like we could be something that really stands out and gets attention, and we're different, and it's one of those things where it's fun right now. I'm enjoying it, and I think that if Rosemary definitely helps a lot with that, so I think that we're able to use this to turn things completely into a different a different spin on things where we're enjoying it, and like I said, just getting people invested in what we're doing is always fantastic.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I definitely got to, one thing I will say is if you search on YouTube for you guys' Rises videos and other promotions together, some of the most entertaining promos I've watched, literally as a playlist, you can literally go through them, follow the whole storyline, and it's really authentic. It's really, really good. I even like the initial turn when the stable kind of started to form. Format or make whatever. When you turned on Delilah Doom or sort of, but either way, that was really good. And then you just keep watching more videos as it progresses. It's really good stuff.
Good. I'm glad it's made sense because it's been very. While you wouldn't think that this is the right term, it's been a very fun road since that initial rise, and what we've been able to do this whole time. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. So, did you have anything to add to that before
should we segue into Fury?
Yeah, I think it's about that
into
time.
The local scene.
yeah. So, first off, I'm gonna say before we go there, Rosemary, you talked about the stable, you talked about the sort of say the bomb, but what type of influence besides obviously her taking you a little bit over to the dark side? You dropped the angel to straight dust now, but being around someone like that, how has that influenced you? What part and how much of that influence still exists in Zoey Skye?
I mean, I definitely could say it's one of those things where it's not like she's like the whole thing is like a brainwash or anything. Like it's just she she just has, I don't know, like it's just easy to be able to uh just be absorbed by what she's doing.
Yeah.
It's easy to just be intrigued and pay, like fans obviously love watching her and there's a reason for it. But then to be on the other side of that where
Mm.
you're backstage and ringside and in the ring and tagging and all of this with her, it definitely is just it's not changed me, but it's definitely, like you say, almost brought something different out of me.
Mm.
And I mean, I can't say that it's not a part of Zoe Skye because I've always kind of had like that. I'm just I want to have a good time, but I'm not afraid to have an attitude or throw out my opinion and so forth. I guess I'm definitely uh, not the way I wanted the things to go with the Dust character. I was always just so timid and worried about what it would be perceived as.
Yeah.
That I'm able to be much more confident with where I'm going with it now,
Yeah.
to where it doesn't necessarily bleed into Zoe Skye, but I guess it can be seen in a way because
Mm.
it's becoming a comfort for me. It's easy for me to put it out there like that.
Yeah, there's a reasoning to that question. So let's catch people up. So Fury Pro Wrestling, based in Rockville, Maryland, their debut show was June 10th. And you opened up that debut show against Sashi Blackheart in one hell of a match, much I say. You guys' chemistry is really good in the ring, very charismatic. I'm so tongue-tied today. But obviously you picked up the win. Like I said, in a very, very good match, and the night was good. You did what you had to do. You set the tone and the pace for the night, and it was that. You could have, you stuck around for halftime. You met with fans. Nonetheless, you could have wiped your hands with it and just rolled out. But you being the person you are, this person who's just really nice, and like I said, immediately upon meeting you, I just knew you were a kind individual, well spoken, and I think you let it probably got the best of you because during the intergender world title match, James Ellsworth, who faced Su Young, James Ellsworth, we know he's going to do anything in his power to try to pick up a win. He initially, Sue had actually thought she won the title fair and square, but James, being the person he is, took advantage of an injured Sue and got his way, eventually winning the title, retaining the title. But at this point, Sue was very furious, and anyone knows of angry Sue Young is something you don't want to be around. And poor our friend Chris Sharp, who reffed this match, was the target of this rage. The ring crew, they tried to get out there to help, and these guys, they gave it their all, but you couldn't stop her. She grabbed a chair, swinging it everywhere, and she just was not going to leave that ring. But you being the person you are, along with Jenny Rose and Luscious Latasha, excuse me, comes out, and well, what do you know? Sue decided that she was going to make you the target of her fury, pun intended, and you received a nice butt blab too, which I believe you had on a very nice outfit that day that I'm sure you wish you could have just wore home. Probably, your outfit for the rest of the evening, but Sue didn't care.
Yeah.
So we fast forward to October 7th, where you do now get your revenge for this situation. I'm sure there's a lot of emotions here, especially being a good Samaritan as you are, and probably sometimes you probably wish you would have just went home, but you never backed down from any challenge, obviously. And obviously, I mean, and probably you might have been the one to initiate this challenge, but let's hear your side of the story here.
Yeah, I mean that'll teach me to go out and try and save the day, I guess. So I don't even know. Like I wasn't to go out and really it wasn't because I was worried about James Ellsworth or what was going on. It was just it's one of those things where it just seemed like the right thing at the right moment. Just there was nothing wrong. She was she was her, but it was just like, hey, kind of calm down, like it's okay, like, it's somebody's on your side. Let us just calm you down. And apparently just seeing more people just made her more furious. And yeah, so I got the mist. It definitely wasn't intended on going out there to cause any ill will. I wasn't going out there to like start fighting or anything. Just calm down. Like it's okay. Like it's literally the end of the show. It'll be all right. Like let's go. Maybe tell them that you want to wrestle again next time or something. But I can't even say wrong place at the wrong time because I did it to myself. I went out there. But yeah, you know, I literally have a terrible memory, but I'm pretty sure I did. I don't even think I made it like fully back through the curtain before I said like I want a match because it just didn't seem like the right thing to do. And I've always had respect for Sue. I actually saw her a while back, and she reminded me that I met her uh, probably 8, 9 years ago now in Tennessee at a show before she was Sue Young, and I didn't even realize it. And it was just one of those things where it just made me realize how people change in the business. And so now she's changed into Sue Young to where you don't know what to expect from her, kind of thing. And I guess in that sense, I don't know what to expect, come October 7th, but I do know that regardless, I intend on going out there, getting a little bit of revenge, but just showing that me going out there to maybe try to help save the day or whatever I may have been attempting to do was all for good show. I was just trying to go out and help out, and now I just want a good, clean, let's just put it out there, a wrestling match. I'm not asking for anything crazy. I don't need any ridiculous chairs or anything. Let's not get too crazy about it. But I just want kind of to I just want to kind of even the score there.
Yeah, I mean,
no blood miss this time around.
Yeah, no, completely not. And definitely no miss. We're gonna stay away from that.
yeah. Good luck for that happening, because I don't think I've ever seen her not use any of her available weapons or tools at hands. But again, this will be at Fury Pro Wrestling Sunday, October 7th. This is at 7548 Standish Place, Rockville, Maryland. The doors are at 1:30. The bells at 2 p.m. You can get all your information from this at furyprowrestling.com. Well, the main event will be Zoey Skye versus the Undead Bride, Sue Young. Now, you've never faced her, but
never.
To my original question before we got into this, you do have, a good asset to your side in Rosemary, the Demon Assassin, who shared.
That's what I was gonna say.
You got it, Dan. Go ahead.
I was like, there can't be that much of a jump to being the running buddy of a demon assassin to then going and facing an undead bride.
There's definitely going to be that difference in that mentality. I guess if anything, I have the opportunity to kind of maybe try to get into the Impact Multiverse Rosemary to kind of get a little bit of that information. But it's one of those things where I don't necessarily go out with the intent of using others to my advantage. At this point for me, what people tell me are always hearsay. It's easier for me to see things.
Okay.
For me, I sit back, I go to the gym daily, so I'll sit and I'll watch matches and I'll watch Sue Young, whether it be Impact matches or indie matches this week, last week, a year ago, 5 years ago, whatever it may be. I go back and do my own homework so that I can see who it is that I'm dealing with.
Everyone in life always needs a little bit of help. And we know Sue Young is very, very good at the mind games, but one of the best in the business of mind games is absolutely Rosemary. And I think that is a skill that you can definitely utilize going into this match.
Can't say that I may or may not have some mind games to play as well, but we just have to go and see for sure.
I'm looking forward to it. It will be the main event, and that will be very, very, very exciting. So what do you have anything before we close out of here soon?
Let me finish up with this one. This one I always like to ask for a talent that people might not, some of the listeners might not know so much about. So I always like to put this one out there. Considering all the place, especially with all your years of experience, I mean, you've covered a lot of ground, a lot of opponents, and a lot of different areas. what are some of your favorite matches that you've been in that you would recommend if people wanted to check out your work and get a feel for who Zoey Skye is?
Man, I hate watching my own matches, so I don't like to really recommend my matches. And for as much as I've had some like fun matches that like made a bit of an impact to help me grow throughout my career, a lot of those older ones from 6 and 8 and 10 years ago are pretty rough.
So don't go back that far then.
I will say, like I said, going back to watch it would probably be like the worst idea ever. But one of like the main matches from early on in my career that was something that helped me feel like I was able to branch out and really get my name out there was wrestling for AIW, Absolute Intense Wrestling, up in Cleveland, Ohio, against a guy by the name of Jefferson Saint. He doesn't wrestle anymore, but he was the women's champion at the time for quite some time. Yep. And so doing like the old Andy Kaufman character and so forth.
Nice.
But that was definitely something that helped me really feel like I was able to get my name, of course, at that time Angel Dust, but get my name and my appearance out. And just overall over the years, it's just like I've just grown as I've wrestled so many people. I actually completely forgot I had the match, and nothing against her. But I wrestled Ali, Cherry Bomb, about almost a year ago now, at my debut for Queens of Combat, down in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And I once somebody brought it to me, I realized how I haven't gotten a chance to watch the match back, but how confident I felt after the match, and even before, but going out there and having the match with her and getting back to the curtain and feeling like I did something that I felt like I hadn't done in a while, and that was have just a very solid overall match. And of course, going to Japan, all my matches were fun, but I definitely I think probably one of the matches there that really made me feel like I gained some confidence to really come home and do something more was wrestling Momo Watanabe. I probably said that completely wrong, but regardless, I ended up wrestling, I believe, maybe one tag match, maybe two with her, but then I was able to have a singles match with her, and especially being in front of a Japanese crowd and having that completely different culture and everything else, having that match made me come home and feel like everything that I've been doing with Rise and Shimmer in the last almost 2 years, 2 going on 3 years or however long it's been, it just feels like everything is starting to hit the right place. So it's made everything feel like it's finally coming together for me.
Awesome. Some definite stuff to check out. And that match with Momo was on August 5th. So that should be up on Stardom World for people looking to check that out. That should be a pretty easy one to find.
And I mean, obviously, this is just another case of when you invest in yourself, you see results, and the Zoey Skye change is just a reflection of that. So to anyone, and I know you've been a big advocate to wanting to reach back and help others coming up. That's as simple as it gets. If you really want to see progressions in your career, invest in yourself. Don't be scared to step out the box. Don't be scared to network. And for all that matters, reach out to Zoey. She's said it in numerous podcasts and interviews. She'll say it again here too. I'm sure that if you need advice, hit her up.
And if I can't give it, I'll find somebody who can.
Right on. Now, I'm not going to do what everyone else does, because I know what your answer is going to be when they say, okay, now plug your social media, so you can say, oh, I don't actually remember them all the time. So I'll help you plug them for you.
Yes. I start literally carrying a business card with me anytime I have. So it's like, oh, here's my stuff.
Definitely step over and check out our Facebook page. Our official fan page is Zoey Skye Official. Twitter is at Zoey Skye, and Skye is with an E at the end for all three of these. So Twitter, Zoey Skye Pro, and Instagram, Zoey Skye Official. Definitely give a follow to all of those, and keep updated with everything that she has going on. And again, step over to @Fury_Wrestling for all the latest updates for Fury Pro Wrestling. and their website at Fury Pro Wrestling 2 for all the information, ticket sales and everything for Fury Pro. So that is going to wrap it up, besides the one thing that I didn't get a chance to say something about too when we brought up about hobbies. Now, I did hear this one interview, and I think you were kind of going on a rant about bookings and stuff like that. And I don't know who the male voice is in this video, but I did know that the male voice was like, hey, what's the problem? We're watching Dragon Ball. And you was just like, Dragon Ball? I mean, I guess, but I'd rather have bookings. Now, I must know, are you just not a Dragon Ball fan? Because I don't think there's much things better in life than Dragon Ball.
Man, I really don't even remember what that was. Like, I probably was going on a rant. I hate talking, and I was clearly going on a rant. So my fiance loves Dragon Ball, but I just have a very hard time, like, just sitting and really getting into it. So, like, I'm kind of into it because he is, but I'm sorry, I'm not that person that that goes on and watches a ton.
It's okay. We'll just cut that off the show. No reason to add negativity out there. Just play. I love Dragon Ball, so that's a good guy there. So yeah, that would do it. Again, I'll plug your social media for you, but is there anything else you would like to plug or add here before we wrap it up?
No, definitely check out those pages. I constantly post upcoming events and shows, and of course available dates. So by all means, like you said, if anybody has questions, fans want to reach out, other wrestlers, by all means, everybody feel free to reach out. I get back as quickly as I can. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And Zoey Skye, thank you. That's Zoey Skye for the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for all our latest information and stuff. We will not be on any breaks for a long time. No more vacation days. Anything, Will?
I am perfectly good. Glad to be back and getting the big gold belt rolling again. And thank you, Zoey, for coming on with us tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Right on. We'll catch you guys next time.